almost hit me. I fell.
It's okay. Come on, happy birthday on 3, okay? 1. Ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Shoot me.
12 strangers wake up in a remote field, terrified and unaware of how they got there. Moments later, they discover the unthinkable. Someone is hunting them down for sport. But when the tables start to turn, the hunters realize they may have chosen the wrong prey. The film opens with a group chat featuring several affluent, left-leaning American public figures. In this conversation, they vaguely broach the topic of hunting humans for sport at a location referred to as the Manor. This private discussion ultimately leaks online, giving rise to a conspiracy theory among right-wing conservatives known as Manorgate. The narrative then transitions to a private jet, where these privileged left-wing billionaires are seen relaxing during their flight. Suddenly, a disoriented passenger stumbles into the cabin, clearly confused about his situation and destination. When instructed to lie down, he is unexpectedly stabbed in the neck, resulting in a significant loss of blood. In a state of panic, the passenger attempts to defend himself, prompting Athena to intervene by stabbing him in the eye with her stiletto heel. He is subsequently dragged away into another room, where he bleeds to death surrounded by other unconscious individuals. The scene shifts to a blonde woman, whom we will refer to as Yoga Pants, who awakens with a gag in her mouth. She struggles to remove it but discovers it is locked in place. Across the field, she spots another gagged individual named Crystal, who appears to be setting up a simple compass near the water. Without exchanging words, Crystal walks away, leading Yoga Pants to encounter another person and follow him to an open field dominated by an ominous box. There, she discovers that 11 others are similarly gagged. One individual, whom we will call Capman, pries open the box while the others hide in fear of it being a bomb. To their shock, a terrifying creature, a pig dressed in a gown named Orwell, emerges from inside. Capman reaches into the box and retrieves a collection of weapons, prompting the others to rush forward and arm themselves. Yoga Pants finds the key to their gags, and they quickly work together to remove them. A man provides her with a weapon and offers a helpful tutorial on how to use a handgun. She is then introduced to another character we will refer to as Trucker, just as an unseen assailant begins firing a rifle at them. Tragically, Yoga Pants is shot in the head and dies. Trucker experiences a moment of panic and seeks refuge behind a crate alongside a woman known as Dead Sexy. They observe a man attempting to emulate Rambo by charging toward the shooter, but he is immediately shot and killed. In an effort to escape, Dead Sexy dashes across the field but unfortunately falls into a hole. Moved by her plight, Trucker rushes to her aid, only to discover that she has been impaled by several spikes within the hole. Despite the grim situation, Trucker attempts to pull her out and help her escape. Tragically, their efforts lead them to trigger a landmine. A character referred to as Staten Island witnesses the explosion and quickly seeks cover as the unseen shooter opens fire. He flees into the woods, where he encounters a barbed wire fence and meets Capman along with 2 others, Vanilla Nice and Redhead. As they begin to scale the fence, another hidden assailant starts shooting arrows at them. But Capman is struck by an arrow in the chest and left behind. With no options remaining, he resorts to firing blindly at the unseen shooter, but it is not long before he collapses and is killed by a grenade explosion. Shortly thereafter, Staten Island, Vanilla Nice, and Redhead stumble upon a grocery store adjacent to a gas station, where they encounter an elderly couple behind the register. Staten Island inquires about their location and learns they are in Arkansas, leaving the 3 visibly perplexed. Staten Island borrows the couple's phone to call 911. His account of being kidnapped along with nearly a dozen others and hunted by strangers appears to leave the operator unfazed, raising suspicions about the situation. He mentions Manorgate, a conspiracy theory popular among right-wing conservatives that emerged from the infamous leaked text messages introduced earlier in the film. We learn that Redhead hails from Wyoming, Vanilla Nice from Orlando, and Staten Island from Staten Island, all of which are predominantly red, right-leaning states in the US. Redhead is seen eating food from the grocery store but soon begins to feel unwell. As Staten Island and Vanilla Nice rush to assist her, tear gas is deployed, and Staten Island is shot with a shotgun, killing him instantly. The elderly man then approaches Vanilla Nice and finishes him off while humorously declaring that climate change is real. The couple subsequently hides the bodies in a storage room and cleans up the crime scene. They engage in a discussion about political correctness, asserting that it is justified to kill right-wing conservatives due to their disbelief in climate change and their stereotypical ignorance and racism. Based on the preceding information, we can infer that a group of extreme left-wing individuals has abducted several individuals from right-leaning states, operating under the assumption that these individuals are uninformed and harbor animosity. Moments later, a cautious Crystal enters the store and requests a pack of cigarettes. The elderly couple, maintaining their facade, informs her that the cost is $10. As Crystal prepares to make her payment, she inquires about her location, to which the couple falsely responds that she is in Arkansas. Realizing their deception, Crystal forcefully strikes the elderly woman's head against the counter and fatally shoots the elderly man with their own shotgun. She confronts the woman, asserting her knowledge of the lie, as cigarettes in Arkansas are priced at only $6, before proceeding to kill her as well. Crystal then takes possession of the shotgun, several shells, and the couple's walkie-talkie before leaving the store. Upon exiting, she discovers a truck parked outside and removes the Arkansas license plate, revealing an unfamiliar plate beneath it. Additionally, she notices that the truck is rigged with explosives. Seeking cover behind some trees, Crystal listens in on communications. It becomes apparent that the perpetrators are growing anxious due to the old couple's failure to report whether they have successfully killed Crystal. Shortly thereafter, a drone approaches the grocery store but is promptly shot down. Realizing that their communications may be compromised, the culprits swiftly turn off their radio. An armed man approaches the gas station and heads toward the truck. Crystal warns him about the explosives, and the man, identified as Gary, decides to accompany her. They walk side by side along a train track and board a passing train, where they encounter a family of Arab immigrants who do not speak English. Gary, displaying racist tendencies, derogatorily labels them as crisis actors. As Gary threatens them with his gun, the train unexpectedly comes to a halt. They are confronted by a group of foreign-speaking soldiers who begin to remove them from the train. It becomes evident that they are no longer in the United States. Gary, feeling entitled, requests assistance from one of the foreign soldiers while spouting various conspiracy theories. The soldier appears indifferent and walks away, prompting one of the Arab individuals to reveal his fluent English skills. This individual confesses to Gary that he is complicit in the scheme to hunt down Gary, Crystal, and others from right-leaning states. However, he clarifies that the train stoppage by authorities was not part of their plan. He informs Gary that once they resolve their situation with the soldiers, he intends to kill him. Gary tackles him, causing a grenade to fall from his possession. Gary then shoves the grenade into the man's pants, removes the safety pin, and seeks cover. Subsequently, Gary, Crystal, and the other refugees are transported to a large refugee camp. Later, Crystal finds herself seated before an officer, where she discovers that she is in Croatia and is introduced to another American, named Don, who was also apprehended by the soldiers. Following this, both Crystal and Don are collected by a representative from the American embassy. During their journey, the embassy official makes a comment reflecting liberal views associated with the Me Too movement, prompting Crystal to suspect that he may be connected to those seeking to harm them. In response, she attempts to eject the embassy representative from the vehicle, running him over and fatally injuring him. Upon exiting the vehicle, they come across Gary's lifeless body along with a substantial amount of cash. They also fortuitously discover a detailed map indicating the locations of Athena and the other perpetrators. Crystal then begins narrating a classic children's story about a box turtle that triumphs over a jackrabbit, followed by a tale in which a character she refers to as a jackrabbit invades a home, slaughters a family of box turtles, and consumes their meal. This narrative serves as a political commentary on the ideological divide between liberals and conservatives in the United States. Once she concludes her story, Orwell the pig appears from the woods. Later that evening, the left-wing billionaires orchestrating these events are gathered in their hideout, engaged in a discussion about their progressive values. One of them steps outside for a moment and encounters Don carrying Orwell the pig, while Crystal stealthily approaches from behind and eliminates him. Inside the hideout, the liberals become aware of noises from outside, heightening their alertness. Orwell is then dropped from an overhead opening, prompting them to panic and shoot the pig. Seizing the opportunity amidst their distraction, Crystal bursts into the hideout with her weapons drawn. She stabs one of the female billionaires and confronts a military personnel, inflicting serious injuries. As she prepares to finish off the female billionaire, Dawn intervenes, urging her to reconsider her actions on the grounds that it is inappropriate to kill a woman. However, Crystal remains unfazed and questions whether being female grants her any form of redemption. The billionaire responds negatively. Shortly thereafter, Athena's voice is heard over the communications system, calling out to Dawn and inquiring if he has killed Crystal. This prompts Crystal to raise her weapon, suspecting that Dawn may be aligned with Athena. Despite Dawn's assurances that he is not working with her, Crystal decides to eliminate him to avoid any potential risk. Crystal then takes a seat beside the wounded soldier, revealing her military background and prior service in Afghanistan. She inquires about Athena's whereabouts before ultimately ending his life. The narrative shifts to a flashback set 1 year earlier, during which Athena is dismissed from her position as CEO following a scandal involving the leak of group texts in which she and her friends discussed hunting right-wing conservatives for sport. Athena maintains that their comments were intended as jokes, but the company's leadership does not share her perspective. In retaliation, Athena and her fellow billionaires, who have also faced public backlash, convene to compile a list of 12 right-wing conservatives they believe contributed to the viral spread of their messages. They then devise an intricate plan to kidnap and hunt these individuals for sport. Returning to the present, Crystal approaches Athena's opulent hideout. She is compelled to relinquish her firearm when Athena threatens her with explosives planted around the premises. Upon entering, Crystal confronts Athena, who elaborates on her elaborate scheme in the manner typical of cinematic villains. Athena reveals that Crystal was selected due to an online comment she made about the leaked group chat under the username Justice4Y'all. However, it becomes apparent that Athena has mistakenly targeted the wrong individual, as there are 2 people with the same name in Crystal's hometown. This raises questions about Crystal's political affiliation, as her views have not been explicitly stated throughout the narrative. Regardless of the misunderstanding, Crystal is driven by a desire for vengeance against Athena for all she has endured. The two engage in an intense struggle that eventually necessitates a brief pause due to exhaustion. Ultimately, Athena manages to stab Crystal with a large double-ended blade, only for Crystal to retaliate by pulling Athena toward her and inflicting a similar wound. Both women collapse on the floor, engaging in a discussion about George Orwell's Animal Farm. Crystal calls out Athena's hypocritical stance on morality until Athena takes her final breath. Following Athena's death, Crystal notices a rabbit nearby and rises to her feet. She tends to her wounds, cleans herself up, and boards Athena's private jet. Upon entering, she informs the stewardess and captain of their boss's demise while brandishing a firearm, commanding them to take her home. Before the film concludes, she critiques classism by inviting the stewardess to join her for caviar as she departs into the sunset. Thanks for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more of these recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.